All right, everyone, welcome back to the Collector's Corner.
Get excited. Welcome.
Yeah, this is our new video thing we're going to try and do.
I'm Jarryd
Blake.
You finally get to see our faces.
for the card reveals.
Hope it doesn't scare too many of our subscribers off.
So we're going to call this little segment or video, I suppose, that we'll try and do weekly. We're going to go reviews, predictions, and spoilers. It's going to be all about the latest chapters of One Piece, any spoilers for the next chapters that might be out, as well as just where we think the story is going.
A couple of our predictions and just a bit of chat about what everyone else is thinking. As anyone who does or doesn't know, there's a lot going on in this One Piece universe, and the creator is just a genius. So there's always plenty to talk about, and we're going to have a bit of a dive into week by week on what we think is coming up, what we think may happen, and just sort of see as the next chapter opens up and we see, oh, how wrong we were.
Yeah, exactly right. I know many people that have been able to guess what Oda's actually going to do next. But you'll have to bear with us as well. We're new in this format, so we'll probably be checking our notes every so often. We want to make sure we're hitting all the highlights. But, we'll jump straight into the chapter. So this week's chapter is 1153. We're a bit slow on the upkeep of jumping into this sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, our channel is still fairly new, so we sort of got to just jump into where everyone else is at the moment.
Yeah,
so
exactly right. But it's it's titled "The Birth of Loki," which for anyone that's actually reading the manga would know that that's one of the characters that's been in Elbaf. That is the son of Harold the King, who is now dead from Elbaf, I suppose. And this chapter takes off with the backstory of the king, Harold, and I guess it's leading into the eventual demise.
Or yeah, I suppose the birth of Loki.
Well, yes, the birth of Loki and the demise, and the story being that Loki killed his father and what really happened.
For all of you who don't know either, that Elbaf is considered quite a rarity in the One Piece universe. It took a very everyone knew it existed, and it's been nearly over 1,000 chapters before we finally actually get to see it. So
when was it first mentioned? It would have been back in Little Garden with Brogy and Dory.
Yeah, probably.
Go was that? It's like 15, even longer.
It would have been
18 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. That would have been a good note to put down.
It would have been a good note to put down.
But anyway, yes, it's been a big deal. It's finally here, and yeah, obviously there's a lot to unpack. We're not going to unpack everything that's happened so far. We're just going to be talking about this chapter. And basically, King Harold was a dominant sort of giant's king.
Well, he was a brute, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a brute, yeah. And he came across a small human village where he found a traveling circus and a giant who had been, now he didn't know at the time, but it looked like she was held captive. So,
yeah, well, it's I was looking at the chapter and I was like, it's sort of that parallel with what was that movie, like The Greatest Showman? It's sort of like a freak show of the old school days, right? Like she's there and she's actually just putting on a show, but he obviously sees it when he's from his ship and he's like, how dare you do this to a giant, you puny little humans.
Yeah, he ends up destroying the town. He says that he has saved her.
Yeah, saved or kidnapped.
Yeah, it's kidnapped. Yeah. Anyway, once they're back on the ship, she gives him a good forehand slap and says, "Take me back, fix the town. You have no idea what you were doing." And he ends up sort of changing his ways. Not just from that, but he learns from Ida.
Yeah,
learns from Ida that accepting others and giving them a chance and trying new things can actually open up a whole new perspective on life. Really. Good life lesson there.
It is. Well, I actually sort of took away, it's a very sort of stereotypical, that sort of story, I suppose, of it's almost like Beauty and the Beast, isn't it, really? In a sense, you've got this brutish character who thinks he's better than everyone, obviously because he's powerful, meets a female who hurts him, sort of like how Luffy would... Oh, sorry, Nami would
do it to Luffy.
Just one hit and he's down on the ground with a big lump on the side of his head and all his members are like, oh my God, what's going on? And then obviously he backs down a little bit, sees that she's quite a strong, independent female, and he is attracted to that, obviously, is what it shows.
Yes,
and then
that's right.
It's like a slow breakdown of that character, and you can see like there's obviously it's that sort of stereotype, and at first she's trying to fix things up, and he's looking, and then he gets that like grumpy like, all right, man, go and help her, but he still doesn't want to get involved, and then his men start working. Go, oh my god! I think I wrote in my notes, and from reading the chapter, they mentioned, like their building techniques were different. So you could see, like even the warriors were like, oh, this is actually interesting and helpful for our culture.
The food was different. There was a thing about trying different spices and different food, which obviously they'd never experienced. But then, then it sort of, kicks on in the chapter, and it gets to the point where they return to Elbath, and King Harold has essentially become a completely new ruler, instead of being just the tyrant he was.
Well, because it only happens in a few chapters, panels. But it's that breakdown from the brute. He ends up, I think he's asking for forgiveness in one panel. He's on his hands and knees, and then he's happy. They're doing I liked how they did the One Piece party scene.
Yeah.
So they're doing the old dancing in the background while they're eating. And then, he goes back to his country, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, well, let's break down our barriers, and, let's get cultured and take away from other cultures out there. And he becomes pretty much a diplomat himself.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. And, basically from there it becomes a whole new country. And King Harold ends up having a child with Ida. Yeah. And which is amazing, and that was for all you who don't know, it's I think it's Hyrugan. I think you should say Hyrugan. How you pronounce it. So King Harold's firstborn. However, the elders of Elbath do not allow them to be wed because of, I suppose, her not being of royal.
Well, it's sort of like that generational change thing, isn't it? Like he's trying to change Elbath, but obviously there's still old guard.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to take a little while to get him. And, obviously she's not of royal blood. She's an outcast.
But she was fine, and she understood. So they went to live in another village, still on Elbath, I believe, but still just another village. And then the elders of Elbath have found someone for him to wed.
Estrid?
Estrid. Yeah, Estrid. So, she was of some special royal... or some special
I think she's
bloodline or something, whatever it was.
Like a royal or prestigious bloodline or something. Yeah. Just essentially a princess, really, isn't she?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So he ends up having to be-wed her, and this obviously leads to the birth of Loki. So all in the means in this time too, King Harold has been he hasn't changed back to his old ways. He's maintained the same, I suppose, more caring personality that he did when he met Ida. So
I found it interesting how Estrid and Ida are like polar opposites, really. She's this kind, forgiving, wanting to get cultured and stuff, and Estrid's first introduction is essentially like
money
hungry, and it's a weird. I'm sort of confused where he's going with it. But he's like, she's got that skepticism and that mystic sort of background as well, which I know is somewhat in Norse mythology, which is where it's based. But I think right from the start, I read one of the panels. She's the winds from the east are blowing in, so we need to close the windows.
Yeah,
and then all I could think was Dragon looking intensely to the east forever.
For all we know, that is exactly what it means, because no one can understand what Oda's doing. So,
but then she says, "Get rid of the mirrors," because they got the 5 death point stars or something. So obviously she's got skepticism about it, which leads into the next part where how you're saying Loki's born, and
and for any of you who do have children, this was a pretty hard thing to see, actually. So she obviously gave birth to Loki, and during this period, Harold was off. He was out in sea somewhere. He was doing something, so he wasn't there for the birth of Loki. But when Estrid asked to see him, and the palace people obviously brought him to her, she panicked, started screaming at the sight of his eyes. And it's just it's just eyes, but she started saying no, this is not my son, get that thing away from me. I've never had a child before. She was telling all the palace guards and everyone to pretend it never happened, get rid of him, and she ends up throwing him over I mean, for giants, it's still bad, but for giants, she threw them over into the underworld, which is just essentially below the land or the cloud level that they're at, which is still quite far, and it's obviously with it's not within like just easy reach. But she's basically abandoned this newborn child just because of his eyes.
Yeah.
And at in the final panel, or that's the second final panel, you see baby Loki trying to crawl back up or climb back up the tree. This tree is obviously the center of Elbaf. It's a massive tree, but he's climbing this tree while crying and trying to obviously reach up for help. And it's actually so sad. All of a sudden, I feel so bad for Loki, and I hope he destroys everyone. Or I actually just hated. Like, I actually hated this Estridge woman so much after I saw that, and I hated how she could do that to her own son, regardless of how he looked. But anyway, that sort of leads up to the point of like he becomes abandoned. Nobody wants him. At the end of the chapter, it basically starts talking about how he becomes known as like, you know, the curse of Elbaf.
Yeah. Well, I think it was so some of the points I took away from those like last few pages of the chapters. Again, I look at some of the aspects of where Oda gets his inspiration, and like throwing the baby over the cliff. It gave me. I'm sure there's probably something Norse myth related that I'm just not across, but it just gave me like real old school. Do you remember the movie 300 and the Spartan that's not the babies that aren't up to scratch? They just toss them into a pile over the edge. It sort of gave me that sort of vibe. But yeah, you're right. When that little hand's like reaching out, and I think the bubble for it or the speech around it saying, you know, the baby's trying to reach out, and there's no mother's love that reaches back. I was like, geez, like that's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not too far from what Oda does in some of his stories. He gets quite deep in there. But something that you'd consider is like typically, like obviously we've all grown up with One Piece.
Yeah.
But generally it's tailored more to a younger audience, but that is a very like very impactful and deep.
It's really good with One Piece that it obviously started off as a child's show, really, or I suppose the manga was more childlike and more child friendly, which was fine. And because it's been going for so long, it's almost he's continued it with the generation and how we have aged to the stage where obviously he still keeps a bit of the humor in things, but he's at that stage now where it was fun at first, and then it started getting serious, and now we're getting to the pointy end. I hope we're getting to the pointy end of how this real intense story has unfolded, and like anyone who watches or knows about One Piece is just is on edge waiting for this final. It's
almost thing. Like sort of Disney-esque in the sense of like, you know, there's always like that adult joke that you're like, you know, as the parent you get to actually enjoy when you go and see a kids movie, whereas like I suppose for this it's like, oh my gosh, like these deep impactful scenes, like some little kid's not going to look at anything. They're like, oh, she threw a baby over the edge and that's Loki. And but for us it's like, especially like we're parents, it's just like, oh, like, who could actually do that to their child? But yeah, I found it interesting on the in one of the last sort of panels, like obviously with the eyes, like they look like demon spawn eyes. Like it's pretty obvious that it's very projected and detailed, so you focus on that point, which then would go to potentially why he's got the bandages over his eyes.
Yes, that's right. It sort of makes everyone realise why he has the bandages over his eyes.
That's what we're talking about. Well, I wonder if that's what it's going to be linked to. Again, like obviously originally everyone was sort of like, oh, is it going to be part of his devil fruit or something? But maybe it's quite literally just going to be
he doesn't want to show other people what his mother hated about him.
Sort of like how Katakuri wouldn't
show his mouth.
Yeah, just that one thing that sort of he was, I guess, self-conscious of. I'm kind of interested again in like in that sort of that one of those last panels where it's talking about how the world government's sort of stopping his advancement into culturally integrating. And then we've seen, and in that last chapter, I know we're going back another chapter, but it all sort of links in. This is one of those things where you just need to always take stuff from ages ago back forward, but this is only one chapter. When he's getting stabbed by all the guards, it's only a black silhouette. And I'm wondering, because as we've recently seen in the most recent chapters, Imu, or whatever, however you say that name.
Imu,
Imu, the top head of the world government and everything else, appears to have an ability, at least using through Gunko, where they've got, it almost looks like a checkers board or chessboard or something, and you're flipping characters, and then they become
demons,
an evil incarnate of themselves.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe somehow that's going to be like what's occurred. He's going to start killing people. The guards have reacted, and then I wonder if Loki's actually has killed him, but on the basis that it wasn't Harold, it was
a demon,
essentially the demon side of him. Yeah,
that's a good theory.
Yeah, I don't know. There you go. It's an interesting one.
There's a theory.
There's one theory.
Is Imu got a devil fruit that's giving her this thing, or is it just some sort of really weird devil, like just a natural devil ability or something? The devil fruits obviously must have come from somewhere. Did they come from a devil originally? Like, we're not getting into that. That's a topic for another day. Anyway, we've had a chat about obviously chapter 1153. We think might be a little bit more revealed in next week. There is a break. Obviously, every so many weeks, Oda takes a break, so there's no chapter this weekend.
Yeah, this is the fun week if you're on any online forums where people get real wild with their theories.
Yeah, and there are some real out there theories. There's so many people still think that Loki's going to be a member of the 10th member of the Straw Hat.
I'm in that.
As great as I think it would be, there is just no way it is feasible or possible. He would have to be like just an ally. Like, how the hell could a giant like that? Like, it just wouldn't be work.
Like, just put a giant rope with a giant rowboat on the back of the Sunny.
The giant rowboat would be like 20 times the size of the Sunny.
He could probably almost walk through most of the water.
It's I don't know. It's always interesting. Like, see what's going to happen.
I mean, they have shown that owl in the library has the ability to resize things. I can't imagine that shrink Loki, but that's getting. So there you go, break week. We're getting to some wild theories here.
Yeah.
But in terms of prediction for the next chapter, where do you think it's going to go?
Well, I think, like I said before, I think it's going to be one more background story chapter.
Yeah.
Where it'll be something along the lines of him either being a teenager or close to a young adult. I reckon he'll be back in. He'll be in society, like, cause I don't think he'll be in the underworld still. And then I don't know. It's a bit hard to tell, really, because it's just a bit of background on who Loki is. So I don't think we'll see too much more detail on like real, like, oh wow, I can't believe this is happening, sort of thing. We know that his dad dies. We know Loki ends up getting blamed for it. I just don't think we'll see too much more of anything wow in the next episode, in the next chapter. It might just be a bit more of a filler. And then once we get out of that, we go back to the present. Then I think something will happen, because we're back to obviously this massive battle between Imu and, like, Luffy's not even there yet. Zoro's just confirmed to have, well, we all knew, but he's been officially confirmed to have conquered his haki. Poor Sanji.
I love how again, we're going back to the other chapter, but I love how Gavin was like, Luffy's like, how did you not know it's leaking out of you? Gavin's like, get that shit under control.
So you're supposed to be the second in command, and you even know you had it. Yeah.
You didn't even know you had it, and you just let it all loose. Just not even wearing pants out there.
So that gives obviously another major power up to them. Now there's two characters two Straw Hat characters who have the power to defeat these Holy Knights who can regenerate. So it's just another special level of haki, apparently, but it hasn't really been specified exactly what it is.
Like the way I read it was like it's probably still using the same haki, but it's a way you use it. It's like it's a controlled thing, because that's what he said. Next time you're fighting, think about how you're using your conqueror's haki. But personally, I think the next chapter is going to go back to Reviri. Jokes aside, could you imagine?
It's just going to be like, oh snap, we're actually now on Fuller Head Island, and Blackbeard's there. Like, what the fuck?
Nah, but I agree. I reckon there'll be, to be honest, I reckon there's only going to be like 2 or 3 more pages, because I really think that last part where it was like the world government's getting involved with whatever, my prediction is that the world government and potentially Imu, whether that sort of theory I was throwing out is the one that flips him and makes him evil, but I reckon it's just going to be a quick little, he gets blocked for a couple of pages, it shows Loki growing up, and obviously it'll probably show a bit more of the dynamic between him and Harajun as well, in relation to, like, that love-hate relationship for brothers. And then I reckon I'll actually go back to the present day. I'm hoping there's a bit more explanation in relation to, or I can't remember his name. I have to go back through the chapter, but or not his, the name of the person who was speaking to Loki in the underworld through the transponder snail.
Yeah,
they did give a name. Apologies, I can't remember what it was. And Gerd's like, "Oh, I'm glad that you've got a friend," and he's like, "Don't tell anyone." But then, like that person saying to him, "I can't talk right now. I've got to leave." So I'd be curious to see who that is. Whether that will ever get revealed. Oda has a tendency, maybe not to forget things, but sometimes it just feels like
every time someone thinks he's forgotten something,
he always brings it back. Yeah, but like it's one of those ones where you're like, "Oh, we might not ever find out what this was for like 300 chapters," and then all of a sudden there'll just be a throwback one day, and we're like, "Oh, remember that transport? He's actually like the real main character of like this arc of the story." You're just like, "Where'd you pull that from?" I reckon it'll probably be a quick past, going back to what Loki did in the castle, and then it's going to end in typical One Piece fashion. It'll be Luffy arrives to the party, or Zoro gets up there, starts fighting. Oh no, because Zoro and Sanji gone up now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it'll probably go into
Isn't Luffy waiting for Loki to be released?
Yeah. So I reckon. Yeah, actually, you know what?
Those two will come together.
It'll go back, and it'll go Sanji and Zoro upstairs.
Yeah.
Or up onto the
Luffy always arrives last because
he's the and I reckon there's probably going to be about 2 or 3 chapters of Zoro probably fighting it out a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Sanji also gets a bit of a power up. I reckon he's gonna have that sort of like that Vegeta vibe where he's just like
always second best.
How can you be Super Saiyan? I'm just gonna develop Conqueror's Haki too. I'll see you use it once and then I'll know how to do it, sort of thing. But I've got a feeling it'll be probably a couple of chapters of those guys, and then what's another milestone one that's coming out? Maybe 160. Sorry, 1160. Luffy will just rock up, kick down the door, and Loki will be there standing behind him with his massive club.
Yes, I know. Next week we're going to be obviously doing another chat. There'll be a few spoilers released by then. Which we can have a little discussion on, and we have a bit more idea on what is actually going to be happening next week. But we could sit here all night and talk about predictions and stuff. So
how long have we been going for?
We don't want.
I don't even know what time we start.
No, that's all right. Well, we don't want to. Let's finish it off there, considering there's no chapter this week, and we'll have another look into next week's predictions. We won't need to go about our predictions because obviously we've just gone through them.
Yeah,
but
we might have new theories crafted up by then.
Yeah, true. Might see some new spoilers and go, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense."
Obviously, I like reading the online forums, especially Reddit's my go-to. Like some of the stuff people come up with in there. Like one of them, I can't quite remember the theory, but they were talking about how Loki is like some very minor Norse mythology story that's not in your normal mainstream that I would know, at least anyway. And it just sounds like it just lined up perfectly. And I was like, of course, Oda would just somehow pull that, but then bring it to like to characters that people can relate to, like Loki and etc. So that was interesting. Actually, you know what? Just going back, I know we're sort of wrapping up the chapter there, but did you sort of get the vibe? And I know Norse mythology, people will be like, Marvel, how could you even bring that up? Like, Marvel's got nothing to do with actual Norse mythology. But did you sort of get a vibe that Harold sort of was like Odin from the movies? Because you find out during the Thor movies that he was a warmonger, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's peaceful. And then Thor's wants to be a warmonger and has to learn slowly that that's not the right way. I wonder if there's a similar dynamic there in the sense like, because Loki...
I'm sure there is. You can almost say there's a similar dynamic to a lot of things.
And look, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. We just had a minor technical difficulty. As you can see, we've got our background blown up in the background for us. It fell. So sorry about the quick skip there, but let's jump back in.
Yeah, basically,
we'll get rid of that blooper. You guys don't need to see that.
We're wrapping it up anyway. But if you guys have any theories or questions about anything we discussed, I know that we discussed a lot, but if you got any theories or if anyone's interested in a few questions about One Piece or the manga at all, like definitely like put in a comment and let us know.
Oh, just even where you think the prediction going. I'd love to just read what other people think. Like I said, I love reading what other people are getting with their theories. They get really out there. But yeah, I'd appreciate it, guys. Put in in the comments, and then in our next video, the format planning will be talking about previous chapter, or the prediction, that we were looking at, or the spoilers, and what actually eventuated in the chapter with the review. Then talking about the future one, and we can probably, if there's any comments in there in relation to some theories, we'll be able to throw it out there and say, hey, look, this person looked at it and they actually guessed right.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely not guessing right.
No, that's right. And also, anyone who puts down a comment, I'll give you a chance to win a couple of packs of cards and some, a couple of singles. You can choose. You have your choice of either the Gengar EX and the Destined Rivals booster pack, or if you're into the One Piece, you can go for the OPO1 SEC Shanks and the pack of the 25th anniversary collection EBO2. So, just put a comment. That easy, and we'll give that winner away at the next video.
6.5 hours later.
But thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe. We need the subscriptions, so it allows us to keep doing this and keep doing our giveaways.
Exactly. So if you want the giveaways, you want the free stuff, you're gonna like, subscribe. Oh, look, obviously we hope you guys are enjoying the content as well.
Yeah.
If you've got any ideas, especially in this sort of format where we're just sort of talking out, if there's other things you wanted to cover off on, or for us to cover off on, talking wise, especially if it's something like another anime or something we're watching, or manga we're reading, happy to discuss that as well. But
we'll also throw in some a little chat about just some Pokemon here and there too, because I know a lot of people obviously love Pokemon. We won't get into any sort of manga or episode connections or dynamics, but we'll just have a chat about some generations, have a couple of just questions, some of our favorites, and a little bit of chit chat. Nothing crazy, but
we can chat about some of the TCG leaks that are coming out. Really hoping this weekend One Piece leaks come out for Cavendish in PRB2. Please, I want to build this body deck. I'm not paying $200 just to get 4 cards.
And millions of people are going to be disappointed because Cavendish is not coming.
Well, I've heard. So the rumor is that it is in PRB2 is what the rumor is, but then there's also the rumor that it's definitely in the Learn Together deck. Not whether it's going to be a full set or not, but I really hope so because I want it. And keep an eye on the channel as well, because we can talk about the Black Bolt and White Flare sets that are coming out.
I've got a few of those already on pre-order.
Yeah, so I may have missed the boat on the pre-orders. I did not realise how quick they were going to go, but I'll definitely get some packs if I can.
It's like gold, that stuff.
Oh, there's some sick looking cards in there too.
There is. Yeah. So
I'm filthy. I never got, again, as people would know in the channel, I'm quite new into sort of the Pokemon collecting stuff in that terms, and I really wish I got in on the 151.
Yeah, 151 was big.
Because the 3 starter illustration rares for the evolution lines, I missed that boat.
And we're still yet to pull a god pack of any sort. We've had a couple of good pulls, but just just haven't really gotten that one. Just wow.
Yeah, that one wow. Especially in One Piece.
Yeah, I know. Open up there.
Yeah,
I know.
We've gotten some god packs in our Pokemon TCG pocket.
Oh, yeah, and the online ones. Yeah,
it doesn't really count.
It's not quite the same. It is cool, yes, but it's not quite the same as holding them in your hands, going,
woo! Yeah. Oh.
So I don't know. It's good fun, and I hope you're all enjoying us doing it. So, like I said, we'll keep doing some giveaways. We'll be doing this weekly, and we'll do some chats about a few other things.
Yeah.
And if you guys want us to have a video chat about anything else, or some of the packs or cards or anime or episodes or anything that we do, let us know, and we're happy to look at it.
And we have been talking about doing a live as well soon, so we'll try and do that. So even some of our overseas viewers, we've seen that there's quite a couple of Americans.
Yes, we'll try and work out the timing so that you guys aren't. So it's not 3 a.m. in the morning for you guys.
It'd be great that we could have the chat up, and we can obviously talk about. You can throw up some comments or whatever, and we can talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about.
One eternity later.
So we give away. So
technical difficulties. We'll figure it out next one.
Yeah. So all right. Thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you on the next one, and hopefully with a better backboard.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.